Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! The cool thing about this YouTube channel is we just don't talk about one specific realm of Descendants characters and its story. We talk about everything Descendants and Zombies. So if you're a fan of the original cast of Descendants and Zombies, then this is the YouTube channel for you. And I think your heart will forever and always have a special place for this YouTube channel in it. Through the years that I've created this YouTube channel, I've had the honor of meeting so many wonderful people who have not only just been fans of the new cast represented by Clarke, Malia Baker, and Ruby Rose Turner, whom I'm a huge fan of. I have the biggest crush in the world on Ruby Rose Turner. I've had the honor of meeting so many incredible Descendants and Zombies fans who have always had a special place in their heart reserved for the original cast of Descendants. And I'm not going to lie to anybody because I am a big fan of the original cast of Descendants. The star of Descendants who made me famous overnight unquestionably was Dove Cameron, and I give Dove Cameron a profound amount of thank yous and a profound amount of respect for having made me a star overnight on YouTube. After having fallen into the Descendants and Zombies niche, I quickly understood the appreciation that you guys had for Descendants and Zombies, how loyal you were to the product, and how forever and always Descendants and Zombies held a special place in your heart. So I wanted to honor you by talking about the legacies of your favorite stars, past and present, in the way that it was meant to be talked about. And I wanted to showcase the pride and the passion that we all show up with to talk about Descendants and Zombies. Because I really believe that some of the most beautiful friendships of all time have happened because of Descendants and Zombies. Not just friendships of everyday life, but friendships between Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson, which ultimately became one of the most revered friendships of all time. And I've seen some of the most beautiful friendships of all time happen on the set of Disney Channel TV shows and movies like Roland Blanchard and Sabrina Carpenter, Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hutchins. There are so many beautiful friendships that have happened, but I think the most beautiful friendship of all time ultimately became the friendship between Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson for how close they were and how they understood each other. And I think that there's been a lot of controversy ascend from that, a lot of rumors, just as there's been a lot of rumors about the friendship between Clarke and Malia Baker. But again, that's why I really hate how people criticize Descendants and Zombies without giving it much of a chance. I think there are beautiful messages that Descendants and Zombies have forever and always represented in our hearts. That's why we've come away from it feeling more inspired than we ever had before, and why I'm incredibly excited about the future of these two franchises and to be here covering it for you guys. That's why I'm forever thankful that you guys showed me the power that existed behind the franchises and what they represented, and why forever and always I will be devoted to creating Descendants and Zombies videos, why I've dedicated my life to these two franchises, because I see how powerful they are and how people just love the music, love the story. Because I think that if you take the music out of Descendants, you still have a powerful story as a backdrop, which still leave people really intrigued about the future of Descendants and what could be happening next. I think from every chapter of Descendants we've came away with it with something special. We felt more inspired than we ever had before, and I think a lot of it had to do with the powerful portrayal of these characters, which nobody ever thought that they were going to make possible. I mean, you take, for instance, Sophia Carson. This was Sophia Carson's breakout role, and she had the responsibility of bringing a character to life who had no backstory whatsoever. And I have to tell you guys, I was blown away by Sophia's performance of Evie in that franchise, because we didn't know a whole lot about Evie, and there wasn't a whole lot of emphasis on Evie in the movie. But for the time that she spent in front of the camera, man, did she ever bring that character to life. The color scheme of blue fit perfectly with her. Her style and her approach was absolutely adorable, and I loved it so much. And I loved the chemistry that Dove Cameron had with everybody on the set of the Descendants movie, from China Anne McClain to Sophia Carson. Dove Cameron just seemed to be so appreciative of everybody she was ever around and in the room with, because she lit up every room that she was in as the character Mel, coming off as this fierce representation of Maleficent's daughter. Years ago, would we have thought Maleficent's daughter would have been the way Dove Cameron portrayed her? Do you think that Maleficent's daughter would have been as fearless, would have been as gorgeous as what she was? I don't know. But I think Dove Cameron really put a spin on that character because of how she could take character traits and really bring it to life. Because Dove Cameron had this unique ability to bring every character that she ever portrayed for Disney Channel, the Disney Channel original movies, to life in a way that I don't think anybody ever could. I mean, I remember years ago how people like Miley Cyrus and Ashley Tisdale had character traits, but they didn't do such a great job as what Dove Cameron did, and perhaps that's why Dove Cameron felt the way she did about Miley's portrayal of Hannah Montana, because I know Dove Cameron was very critical about how Miley Cyrus had perceived herself on Disney Channel, and I guess that's why Dove Cameron wanted to be very different. And I can't forget about how Dove Cameron's contributions to the fans will never ever be forgotten, because she always took time out of her busy schedule to connect with fans on social media, regardless if it was to offer them advice about situations they were faced with in school. I remember this one time when Dove Cameron offered advice to a fan who was being bullied. And I understand how that fan must have felt, because I went through bullying in high school too, and it wasn't fun. There were many times that I chose to forget about and never reflect back on, because it was so hard to endure, being pushed into lockers, being tripped up in hallways, being made fun of, called names, everything that a person could have had done to them, I had happened to me. So I understand the stories of how Dove Cameron felt when she was bullied, how Sophia Carson felt like she was backed into corners, forcing her to transfer schools. I mean, nobody should ever have to go through that, which is why, I always go back to Ruby Rose Turner's portrayal of the young Queen of Hearts, Bridget, and how bullying can have a profound impact on somebody's life. I think that Sophia Carson definitely didn't deserve to go through that kind of thing. So when Ruby showed up and started to show how much of a profound impact that bullying can have on a person's life, I give a tremendous amount of respect for Ruby for being able to bring that to life, along with spreading this emphatic message of kindness. The more that I think about it, how different the Descendants characters were, from Kylie Cantrell to Dove Cameron's spin on the Mel character, I think every Descendants character represented kindness in their own way, because that was the reoccurring theme of this movie, along with how hope and a chance at true love for everybody existed. I'm sure that everybody has had one person in their lifetime they've often thought about spending the rest of their lives with, that they can't live without. And I think that's what Descendants of Zombies has reminded us of just how far a person's love can take them, and how a dream can really happen for anybody. Because all Mel ever wanted to do was come from the Isle of Lost and find her place in the world by attending Oradon Prep. But I think she got more than what she bargained for, because she eventually fell in love with the sons of the Beast, Ben. She embarked on this incredible journey that will never ever be forgotten. It was a fun time to be a fan of what was happening on Disney Channel, because the way Disney promoted Descendants of Zombies, I mean, their marketing strategy was truly unbelievable. And Cameron Boyce, I can't forget about him. He was a beautiful character who just had such a lovable personality, and touched the hearts of so many wonderful people. I want you guys to know that even though Kylie Cantrell and Ruby Rose Turner are doing such a fabulous job with the franchise, I want you to know that the contributions of the original cast will never ever be forgotten on this channel, and especially Cameron Boyce. I will do the absolute best I can to ensure that his legacy lives on forever through my eyes and my heart, because I know how much Cameron Boyce meant to every single person who ever was a fan of Descendants of Zombies. And because I know how much he meant to each and every one of your hearts, I will do my best to honor his memory and honor his legacy, because I think without his unique twist on the Descendants franchise and bringing the son of Cruella de Vil to life in a way that I don't think anybody else would have ever been able to do it, I don't think Descendants would have amounted to its unprecedented success. Because you take, for instance, how many reviews have been posted about Descendants. I think that never enough good things can be said about a franchise that has inspired so many millions of people, because no other franchise holds the record for hours of stream time on Disney Plus, with 781 million hours of stream time. Merch sales are through the roof with Descendants of Zombies. Everybody wants to get their hands on these Worlds Collide Tour hoodies and t-shirts. It's really incredible. I can't forget to mention about the dolls and all the Descendants posters and the books. Have any of you read the Descendants books? The Descendants books, if you haven't read the Descendants books, I highly recommend that you read them, because they are an incredible read, and they will give you insight on the future of Descendants of Zombies, because there is a point in one of the books where Red actually develops a love interest, which we haven't seen for the movies yet. So if you follow along with the book series, it details how Red falls in love with somebody eventually, and they're kind of building up to that now. So I think there's so much more of a story yet to be told with the Descendants franchise, and I can't forget to mention how many characters have yet to see their introduction into the Descendants franchise, because there are so many characters we have yet to see, so many distant worlds yet to be explored. I, for one, would love to see Red and Chloe go to Olympus, or go to Atlantica, or even Halloween Town. That would be a whole lot of fun, seeing what Hercules could offer to the franchise. Perhaps the son of Jack Skellington, the son or daughter of Jack Skellington. The thing about Jack Skellington is, I think that Disney has forgotten about his popularity and how revered of a character he actually is. It's been like 27 years since The Nightmare Before Christmas premiered back in 1993. And I remember how revered Jack Skellington's character is, and 27 years later, he's still just as revered. People still have his decorations up for Halloween every year. People always make references of him on social media. So I think that having his son or daughter during an adventure to Halloween Town would make this franchise that much more captivating to a whole lot of people. And perhaps the son or daughter of Oogie Boogie finding their way into the conversation about Descendants of Zombies would make this really interesting, and I, for one, would be very intrigued. I, for one, have actually thought about competing in the Kingdom Cup games against all these titans from Hercules, like Superus, and that fire god thing, and the ice god. It would be amazing seeing me compete in the Kingdom Cup games. I would probably have my ass kicked competing in the Kingdom Cup games, but yeah, it looks like a whole lot of fun. And I know there's been rumors about a CGI'd voice of a rabbit happening for Descendants because Red will have a pet. I would love to be the voice of the CGI'd rabbit. I would love to be this kind-hearted rabbit that wanted nothing more than to protect Red's heart and keep her safe. I think I would do an awesome job as the voice of the CGI rabbit to help Red and Chloe get out of situations they would be caught up within. And I've always wanted to drive a side-by-side through a rabbit hole that's been closed for years, because I can't forget to mention how fun that actually looks. And because I remember riding in side-by-sides with my friends when I was a teenager up in the mountains, fearing for my life, thinking the side-by-side was going to fall off the track on top of the mountain. It wasn't fun, but driving a side-by-side through a rabbit hole really intrigues me and makes me a fan more of musicals than I ever have been in my entire life. And this is a guy who has a greater appreciation for musicals than anybody, because if you want to talk to a guy who has seen the Wicked musical and thinks it's amazing, watched High School Musical over 100 times, The Sound of Music, Phantom of the Opera, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, then you found the right guy on YouTube, because I have a greater appreciation for these musicals than perhaps anybody that's ever reviewed Descendants or made that comparison between Descendants, Harry Potter, High School Musical, The Sound of Music, Phantom of the Opera, Beauty and the Beast. And I've read all the books too, so it makes it a whole lot of fun. I remember reading The Little Mermaid with my grandmother when I was probably about 6 years old. Little did I know that I would go on 25 and a half years later to talk about mermaids, seeing their introduction into the Zombies franchise, which is very intriguing. I guess I was being set up for the rest of my life. Because you see, I love creating videos about Descendants of Zombies, regardless of how critics feel about it, because critics are always trying to shut down our hopes and dreams about Descendants of Zombies ever amounting to anything. And I want to take that away from the critics, because the critics don't deserve to have people crying on YouTube, because that's what they want. As soon as Kylie Control caves in and starts crying and showing tears on videos for TikTok, YouTube, what have you, it really upsets me, and I want to let the critics have it and let them know that they're not going to get away with this, because when Kylie Contrell contributes so much of her lifetime to entertaining all of you, you deserve to see the best reviews about Kylie Contrell, and she too deserves to see the best reviews of her, to know that her performance on the Worlds Collide Tour for 43 arena dates was fabulous. Does she deserve to be on leg 2 of the tour? Sure she does. Does she deserve to be a part of it? Sure she does. Does she deserve to be a part of the Descendants franchise for the foreseeable future? That's what I'm here to secure. And I'm here to let Kylie Contrell know that love and support is here for her, because I have thousands of people subscribed to this YouTube channel who are fans of Kylie Contrell, and because I know and I realize that and I respect you for being a fan of Kylie Contrell, you're going to hear nothing but the best in the way of reviews of Kylie Contrell, because I too love the EP with Goodie Bag, Denim, and See You Tonight. I saw the music video for See You Tonight when it first premiered, and I was blown away by it. I listened to that song 100 times on constant repeat every night of my life, and if there was one song I fell asleep to, it was either See You Tonight from Kylie Contrell, self-titled album, or it was Life is Sweeter When You Are. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of girls are going to hit the subscribe button for this YouTube channel knowing that I'm a huge fan of Life is Sweeter When You Are. I listened to that song 100 times a day because of just how powerful of a message of kindness is exemplified in that song, and along with how I think 13 different characters from Aladdin and Jasmine to the fairy godmother had emphasis on that music video. It was the coolest way to show a greater appreciation for characters that sometimes have been forgotten about. I know there's been speculation on the story of Aladdin and Jasmine finding its way into the Descendants franchise, and probably, the son of Jafar coming back, Jay, into the story. That would be a whole lot of fun. But I really think it would be cool seeing Aladdin and Jasmine having more emphasis in this story, because I remember in 1992 when Aladdin premiered on Thanksgiving weekend, and I remember being there for the premiere. I remember having the VHS tape and being a huge fan of Aladdin. I actually had Aladdin underwear when I was a kid. So I was the biggest fan of Aladdin and Jasmine, and I think that I just really think that there are a lot of characters that have to be shown a greater appreciation and should be shown a greater appreciation in the Descendants franchise because they have so much to offer. I mean, Aladdin and Jasmine's story captivated me ever since I was 7 years old. How Aladdin wanted nothing more than to spend the rest of his life with Jasmine and have her fall head over heels in love with him. I appreciated that. I really did. You guys, I'll tell you how big of a fan I am of Aladdin. I actually have the original Aladdin Super Nintendo game on my computer. Now, I have thousands of Super Nintendo video games, all the Disney games, what have you, but the one Super Nintendo game I always play 27 years, nearly 30 years after its release, is Aladdin. And I know that video games years ago weren't really, that detailed and that fun to play because, of course, they were rushed to be released ever before the movie was released, because this thing about Disney years ago was that video games had to be released before the movie's theatrical release. So they were on a very sudden deadline, but they did a great job with the Aladdin video game, and I remember playing it like 1,000 times over, and I'm sure a lot of you probably who are old enough to remember Aladdin being released in 1993, a year after the movie. It was really cool. It was really fun to play, and I was the biggest Aladdin fan. I remember watching all the episodes of the original Aladdin TV series. I think there was something like 75 episodes produced of that, and that was right before Disney came into this new generation of live-action TV shows like Hannah Montana. But I really think there are a lot of characters in Descendants that need to show up and need to have a greater appreciation shown for them, along with a lot of respect. And I think that when characters like Hercules and Aladdin and Jasmine eventually show up, to have a greater appreciation in this franchise, which is a perfect time to have them see their introduction with the emphasis on Alice in Wonderland characters in Wonderland now, with the title of the next movie being Descendants Wicked Wonderland, which is a title I love so much. The time has never been better or more appropriate to have all these characters show up. I would love to see Red and Chloe have an adventure inside the Cave of Wonders, with how mysterious and unpredictable the Cave of Wonders have been. And come to think of it, I would love to be the voice of the Cave of Wonders. Check this out. Who art the diamond in the rough? Who dares to disturb me in my slumber? I would love to be the voice of the Cave of Wonders. I would love to be the voice of the Kingdom Cup games. Come to think of it, check this out. I've kind of perfected this. Welcome to the Kingdom Cup games. Now introducing the participants. I used to do a lot of voiceover work for the UFC, MMA, pro wrestling years ago. So if you guys could hit the subscribe button and the like button for this YouTube channel, perhaps you could make my dream come true of being the voice of Descendants of Zombies. I think I would offer a lot to the opening monologue. The opening monologue of Descendants of Zombies has always been this CGI'd, cartoony kind of thing. Kind of reminded me of Looney Tunes like. So I would be the perfect voice for this kind of thing. I would love to be on top of that hill where they did the final scene where Zed and Addison shared their final kiss of the franchise and eventually said goodbye. I cried my eyes out. I would love to be on top of that hill in New Zealand and be part of the opening monologue, explaining the story and reflecting on the history of zombies and having a greater appreciation for the franchise, because I always and forever believe there is a greater appreciation to show and to showcase for this franchise, and I would just love to be the voice of Descendants of Zombies, because I think there are a lot of people that love hearing my voice being a part of this franchise. I really do. And I love having my voice lent to this franchise as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, because I will forever and always love Ruby Rose Turner as much as I do love talking about Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson. I will forever and always love Ruby Rose Turner, and she will forever and always be my favorite Descendants character of all time. And it has everything to do with how kind Ruby was. That was the thing about Ruby. Ruby was just so genuinely kind. That's what stood out to me about Ruby all the time, was just how Ruby was beautiful. And she was so kind. She brought the best out of not only herself, but everybody she ever had the opportunity to work with. I think her and Cameron Boyce would have worked perfectly together on the set of Descendants of Zombies. And I think that if there ever was a love interest for Ruby Rose Turner in the Descendants franchise, without me being involved in the franchise, of course, it would have to be Cameron Boyce. Because he was one guy on Disney Channel that I could never say enough good things about, and I was really inspired by him, because we were just kind of moving away from a generation of Disney Channel guys who really didn't have the respect factor with them. They didn't really appreciate being on the set of Disney Channel TV shows or movies, and of course I'm talking about Joe Jonas, Ross Lynch. I mean, I just didn't see the appreciation for them like I saw with Cameron Boyce. Cameron Boyce was just so lovable, he was so kind, and I think people like Peyton List and Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson have understandable reasons for missing him, because he was just one of those guys that were very hard to come by. And I would have loved the opportunity to have met him. I would have thanked him for his contributions to Jesse, Bunk, Descendants, and everything he gave us as a Disney actor, because he really did bring the best out of not only himself, but he brought the best out of everybody he had the honor to work with, and that's why his contributions to Disney will never ever be forgotten. So too will never the contributions of Dove Cameron be forgotten about, because of how, regardless of how the critics may feel about her, the voice of Dove Cameron on that song, If Only, was incredible. That one song was the introductory ballad to what Mel's character would go on to represent in the Descendants franchise. And that's what I give Disney a profound amount of credit for. That's what I give Kenny Ortega a profound amount of credit for. I remember when they went into the woods and they shot this scene for If Only, and they took literally 100 takes before Kenny Ortega got the right mood and the right approach for that music video. And hard work really paid off, because in all honesty, that song is a song that's been performed countless amounts of times. I can't even begin to tell you how many covers I've watched of people performing that song. There's this one cover, If Only, that's done by this girl. She's like 9 years old. I forget what her name is. But there's this one cover of If Only that's been uploaded to YouTube that is really beautiful, that I love so much, that I can never say enough good things about. And I look forward to hearing more covers from her about Descendants, because if Descendants has inspired so many people to perform their own covers of songs such as If Only and Space Between, which I've seen on YouTube that are fabulously collaborated, this just goes to show how much of a greater appreciation fans do have for this franchise. And that says a whole lot when this franchise has been faced with so much criticism, especially franchises that have meant so much to Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson, Meg Donnelly, and now Freya Skye and Malachi Burton, who are doing a fabulous job with the duet Dream Come True and receiving rave reviews for Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires. I think the best reviews that have ever been put together about Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires have been put together by the fans, because every critic on YouTube are just merely uploading reaction videos or what have you about Descendants and Zombies, and that's all you're seeing are reaction videos talking about Addison's hair and how she can do gymnastics. But does anyone ever notice the greater appreciation that has to be had for Descendants and Zombies, the work ethic that is exemplified by Meg Donnelly, and how much Zombies meant to the hearts of Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim? I mean, if anyone believes that their story is over in Zombies, I think that we really need to take a step back and think about how much this franchise actually meant to Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim, because I think a lot of critics tend to forget this was really their breakout roles. This were opportunities that Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim wanted to have more than anything else in this lifetime, and they really did make the most of every opportunity they were given, which is why I'm really intrigued by this new cast, which Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim spent years setting up for, because there's still so much more of a story yet to be seen for Zed and Addison. Even though their story has been told and completed, they will be behind the camera, which means they will be offering creative direction and creative sense, which is something I have a greater appreciation for. Man, I love talking about Descendants and Zombies, and I can upload 100 videos a day. I try to upload anywhere from 3 to 4 podcasts every day on this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel is 365, so we could be talking about retro Descendants movies and moments. We could be talking about the new cast. We could be talking about the upcoming Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, giving predictions and discussing rumors, because I want to shut down every critic on YouTube for how they've expressed their thoughts and desires about Descendants and Zombies in such unprofessional ways, especially when people like Kylie Cantrell and Malia Baker and Ruby Rose Turner are crying about how their time with Descendants was very short-lived. You can't honestly tell me that you couldn't have found something for Ruby to do, even if you had to repackage her as, say, the daughter of Rapunzel or Rapunzel herself. I know Ruby has always wanted forever and always in her heart to portray the character Rapunzel for the live-action Tangled, which, by the way, if it happens, I'll be center stage supporting Ruby Rose Turner. I will have advance tickets booked for it. I will be the first guy, if the only guy on YouTube, to watch the Tangled remake. And I will be the one guy on YouTube that will give Ruby Rose Turner an endless amount of praise. And I will fire back against all the critics, because if Ruby wants to play Rapunzel in the live-action Tangled, more power to her. I just want to offer Ruby that incentive and that inspiration to be Rapunzel, because I think there is nobody more beautiful than what Ruby is. At just after 11 a.m. this morning and my second podcast being uploaded, I want Ruby to know I love her forever and always, just as all of you love Ruby forever and always, and we support you, Ruby, being the live-action Rapunzel, because there's been way too much conversation about Sabrina Carpenter being the live-action Rapunzel, and I'll have more to say on this later on today when I upload another Ruby Rose Turner video, which I hope you will join me for. I just feel as if the conversation has always revolved around Sabrina Carpenter being the live-action Rapunzel when Ruby Rose Turner wants more than anything in her heart to be this. And I can't forget to mention how I really do believe that Kylie Control would have been an awesome live-action Jasmine in the live-action Aladdin. I know that Naomi Scott did a fabulous job, but there's just something about Kylie Control's personality that I can never seem to get enough of. And that's why I can never shut up talking about Kylie Control, because she's just such an inspiration to each and every one of you. And because I see that, and I respect you for loving Kylie Control as much as what you have, that's why I'll forever and always believe that Kylie Control has deserved better reviews for her for a very long time. And I think it's time for Kylie Control to jump back on YouTube, watch these videos, like all of Jonathan Clarke's videos, because he is the one guy who will forever and always have a special place in his heart for Kylie Control, regardless of how every critic out there feels about her and all your favorite Descendants of Zombie stars. I love you, Kylie, man. You have a bright future ahead of you, and I'm just excited to be a part of it. Guys, if you get a moment, please be sure to like and subscribe to this video. It's been my honor to talk about the original Descendants cast. I have a lot to say where this goes. I will upload another video just before sunset, which I hope you will join me for. Perhaps we'll shed some light on the future of Ruby Rose Turner and where I think she's headed from here, and if in fact I do believe that Ruby will see her reemergence into the Descendants franchise, although many people believe her story was told and completed, which was also very short-lived. Ruby, where did you go? I love you so much, man. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. I have a lot to say where Descendants of Zombies goes. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep kindness in your heart, and we will talk more about Descendants of Zombies throughout today. Be kind to one another, because kindness really does go a long way in this world.